There are three types of initial system. The first one is mechanical initial system. This system, my friend will explain about how it works. For the second system is electronic initial system. This electronic initial system similar to mechanical initial system, except they use armature instead of contact breaker. And the third one is distributorless initial system.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. Ini initial system yang selalunya ada dalam kereta, bagi kereta carburetor dan juga fuel injection. Okay, seperti biasa dalam gambar ni kita nampak yang ni kunci dia bila dah di switch on. Yang bawah ni bateri, dan bila kunci ni dah dibuka dan di switch on, voltage daripada bateri akan bergerak kepada ignition coil, dan ignition coil ni dari sini dia akan menambah voltan daripada 12 volt daripada bateri, akan tambah voltan daripada 12 volt daripada bateri kepada kepada 22,000 volt. Okey, yang dekat sini kita nampak ni contact breaker. Okay, a cam which is connected directly to the camshaft opens and closes the contact breaker points according to the number of engine cylinder. Okay, yang ni camshaft dia akan ni pula rocker arm, dan ni dia akan contact pada contact breaker, dan bila contact breaker cam dan contact breaker bersentuhan, dia akan menghalang voltage daripada lalu di sini. Ini condenser yang ada dalam berdekatan dengan contact breaker. Ini akan absorb electromagnetic flux yang melalui sinilah. Okay, dekat ignition coil ni dah ada dua jenis winding, secondary winding dengan primary winding. Secondary winding ni lilitan coil dia lebih tinggi daripada primary winding, dan akan meningkatkan voltage bateri daripada 12 volt kepada 22,000 voltan. dan 22,000 voltan akan lalu ke sini dan ke distributor. Dalam kereta Viva tu dia tak ada distributor jadi macam ni sebab dia direct rasanya. Dan start contact point ni, distribution point ni, dia akan voltage tu akan masuk ke start distributor point ni kepada spark plug. Okay, mengikut power stroke. Kalau power stroke di piston silinder yang pertama, ignition tu akan menyala di silinder yang pertama. Dan bila dia melalui sini, ignition wire ni akan memindahkan voltage, high voltage tadi kepada spark plug. Okay, high voltage tu akan masuk kepada insulator dan ke electrode dan ke center tengah tu. Dan gas ionization ni akan daripada high spark ni akan menjadikan ni akan terjadinya spark di hujung sini, terjadinya spark sebab daripada high voltage ni nak ke ground. Kalau kita boleh tengok sini, when the voltage exceeds the dielectronic strength of the gases between these electrodes, the gases are ionized. Due to ionization, gas becomes a conductor and allows the current flow through the gap and spark is finally produced. Spark produced sebab high voltage dari sini nak ke ground. Okay, ni merupakan basic system untuk ignition system basic, macam mana cara dia berlaku lah.
Hello guys, today I would like to tell you about the main components and its function in ignition system. So mainly it has seven main parts in ignition system in the vehicle. So the first one is battery, next ignition switch, ignition control module, the fourth one is the armature, the fifth is ignition coil, ignition distributor, and the last one is the spark plug. Okay, so the first and foremost I would like to explain to you about the function of the battery. So as we all know, the battery is the powerhouse of the ignition system as it supplies the necessary energy to the ignition system. The next one is ignition switch. Ignition switch is used in ignition system which governs the on and off of the system. The third one is the ignition control module, or some call it as the control unit of ignition system. So it is the brain or program instruction given to the ignition system which monitors and control the timing and the intensity of the spark automatically. So it is the device that receives voltage signal from the armature and set the primary coil to on and off. It can be replaced separately outside the distributor or can be placed in electronic control unit box of the vehicle. Okay, next is the armature. The contact breaker points of battery ignition system is replaced by an armature which consists of a reluctor with key, the rotating part. So vacuum advance and a pickup coil. Pickup coil is to catch the voltage signal. So electronic module receive the voltage signal from the armature in order to make and break the circuit, which in turn sets the timing of the distributor to accurately distribute current to the spark plug. Second last is the ignition distributor. As the name indicates, it is the device used to distribute the current to the spark plug of the multi-cylinder engine. So the last one is spark plug. So basically the spark plug is used to generate spark inside the cylinder. So there is 7 main components of the ignition system and each function. So that's all from me. Thank you.
To understand the working of the electronics ignition system, let's consider this figure in which all the components mentioned by Tasnim are connected in their working order. So firstly, when the driver switch on the ignition switch in order to start a vehicle, the current state flowing from the battery through the ignition switch to the coil primary winding, which is then start the armature pickup coil to receive and send the voltage signal from the armature to the ignition module. When the tooth of the rotating regulator comes in front of the pickup coil as shown in the figure, the voltage signal from pickup coil is sent to the electronic module, which is then send the signal and stop the current to flow from primary coil. When the tooth of the rotating regulator goes away from the pickup coil, the charge in voltage signal is sent by pickup coil to the ignition module, and the timing circuit inside ignition module turns on the current flow. The magnetic field is generated in the ignition coil due to this continuous magnetic break of the circuit, which induces an EMF in secondary winding, which increases the voltage up to 50,000 volts. This high voltage is then sent to distributor, which has the rotating rotor and distributor points, which is set according to the ignition timing. When the rotor comes in front of any of those distributor points, the jumping of voltage through the air gap from the rotor to the distributor point takes place, which is then sent to the adjacent spark plug terminal through the high tension cable. High voltage is then transferred from the distributor to the spark plug terminal via a high tension cable. A voltage difference is generated between the central electrode and ground electrode. The voltage continues to transfer through the central electrode, which is sealed using insulator. When the voltage exceeds the electric strength of the gases between these electrodes, the gases are ionized. Due to the ionization, gas becomes a conductor and allow the current to flow through the gap, and spark is finally produced. Then, now let's go to the outside to see how the distributorless ignition system works in the car. Let's go. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Petang ni kami akan menunjukkan macam mana proses macam mana sistem elektronik ignition ni berlaku ketika mana kita menghidupkan kereta. So kereta yang kita guna ni kereta cameraman, dia tengah pegang kamera tu. Okey. Kereta dia enjin dia ada 3 silinder, so dia punya spark plug ada 3 lah. So bila mana kita mula start pusing kunci kereta, start. So dari bateri ni dia akan flowkan current, bateri dalam 12 volt. Current akan mengalir daripada mengikut wire dan terus direct ke coil. Sebab enjin ni dia ignition. So dia tak pakai carburetor. Kalau carburetor dia ada distributor. Daripada kalau ada distributor dia ada ignition coil. So daripada ignition coil tu dia akan distribute ke setiap spark plug. Kalau injection dia akan terus ke coil ke sini. So setiap spark plug ada coil dia. So dekat coil ni current akan naik, dinaikkan voltans ke 10,000 volt ke 20 macam tu. 10 boleh lah dalam 12 ke 25,000 macam tu. So dia dinaikkan dan dia mengalir ke spark plug. So daripada sini, spark plug ni luar dia insulator, so dia akan mengalir ke dia punya central dan dia akan cuba untuk jump ke ground. So di antara ruang tu dia akan ionisekan gas-gas dalam antara ruang tu. Kemudian bila dia sampai limit dia akan jump ke ground dan spark tu akan terhasil. So macam itulah proses tu akan berulang sampai rosak. Habis. The ignition system in an internal combustion engine ignites the mixture of fuel and air in the cylinders. An electronic ignition directs an electric current to each spark plug when it needs to fire. It has many advantages over mechanically timed ignition system. So number one are no moving parts. Moving parts in any mechanism wear down over time as parts grind against each other. This occurs no matter how well lubricated the system is. The electronic ignition does not have any moving parts. All of the operation of the ignition system is handled by solid-state electronics. This increases the reliability and reduces the maintenance requirements. This results in a longer expected lifespan for an electronic ignition system. So number two is operational improvements. The electronic ignition does not rely on the range of factors a mechanically timed system, thus for timing the spark plug activation. This results in universally better timing for the engine when in use. Improvements to timing have several different benefits for engine operation. A better timed spark almost guarantees the engine starts on the first try. The fuel and air mixture is burned at the optimal time. This gives a cleaner burn and increases the power of the engine. And the last one but not least, environmental benefits. The electronic ignition system provides environmental benefits in comparison to the mechanically timed ignition. This is mostly due to the operational improvements. The power increase from the timing system result in better fuel economy. The cleaner burning of fuel and air in the cylinder result in slightly less polluting exhaust from the engine. Both of these provide monetary value beyond the environmental improvements. Better fuel economy result in spending less money on the fuel. The improvements to exhaust increase the ability for cars to pass emission tests. Thank you.
When we go, we lose track of time. You and I, we can stay inside. Time goes fast, I don't care. I've known you long enough. I know what I want, know that I care. Nothing can change that.